Okay. You can see my presentation, right?
यस मैम। मैम थोड़ा बहुत जूम करना।
Okay. थोड़ा और जूम करूँ? अभी
यस
ठीक है? Okay.
यस मैम
So
फाइन।
I'll just read the first question and then I will go into the answers of it. Is that okay with you people? Okay. Benefit of Dash scheme will be extended to all export goods from Dash, the finance ministry said in a statement on Thursday. Under the scheme, the embedded center, state and local duties or taxes will get refunded and credited in an exporter ledger account with customs. This can be used to pay basic custom duty or import good on imported goods. The credit can also be transferred to other importers, the ministry said. So far, refunds were not taking place, adversely impacting exports. India's exports fell 8.74% in November, steeper than 5.12% dip in October at $23.52 billion. The one, rates, conditions, and exclusions under which it can be availed would be specified by the Department of Commerce based on recommendations of the Dash Committee that are expected soon. The notified rates, irrespective of the date of notification, shall be applied with effect from Dash to all eligible export of goods, the ministry said. Exporters will have to declare the intention of availing the scheme for each item in shipping bill or bill of export. The Dash scheme will replace the popular merchandise exports from India under India scheme as the latter has been found to violate global trade norms following a complaint from the US at the World Trade Organization. The Dash Committee has sought data and evidence from industries that have suggested higher emission rates than 2%, 3%, 5%, payable at a percentage of realized free on board value as incentives under MEIS. So, the first question, question number 76, what scheme is the above article referring to? Since you guys have answered ye wala mock, so I want you guys to write in the chat box what has your answer been. I'll see like what have you written for question number 76. Uske baad I will show you the answer and discuss that. Okay. Everyone can write whatever they have answered in that mock for question number 76. Anybody else? Okay. Um, all of you have written, then I'll show you. Okay. I'll wait for 5 minutes till you guys answer, and then I'll like go to the answers. Okay. I'm going to the answer key. Question number 76 answer is A. Recently, the government has decided to extend the benefits of the scheme for remission of duties and taxes on exported goods to all export to all exported goods. So A is the correct answer. Um, I think most of you have written A, other than like two, three of you. So when we are doing GK in CLAD, we have to like ensure that usually these passages contain a lot of numbers. Like when you're reading the Hindu, I think that is being shared in the WhatsApp group. So when you're reading the newspaper, ensure that whatever article that you're reading, वहाँ पे you will see those numbers are written. Like every scheme, maybe of a government scheme or anything, has a percentage written. Like any kind of number is of great significance for class because last year's question paper asked a lot of questions related to um, what was the percentage of X and of different schemes basically. And can you people tell me what problems are you guys having in GK? Then I will go to the next question. Like आप लोग को अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम हो और जो भी इश्यूज हो रहा है जीके को लेके you all can like ask and then I will shift to the next question. Okay. किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो रहा है? Memorization actually प्रॉब्लम, हाँ वो तो है. बट अगर लाइक वी आर कवरिंग एक पैसेजेस लाइक जो भी वी आर रीडिंग, you see there is a common theme in all of them. If like for example you're reading about the Indian government, you will see like right now COVID is very important as a topic in GK. So whatever information you can get about one particular topic or anything related to that topic, if you get time, at least like by the end of the day, just write down what you think might be important. Not like passages, but like important keywords. And try reading them every day so that at least like if you can remember a particular keyword, जब passages मिलेगा question पे, you can at least relate to it based on the answers. That way you don't have to memorize the whole thing. You can guess, and that might help if you can remember like particular catch, like बहुत important terms about the topic. So I will be going to the next question. Um, on which committee's recommendations were the rates, conditions, and exclusions specified by the Department of Commerce? Here are the four options. SP Pillai is A, B is GK Pillai, C is SK Pillai, and D is GP Pillai. So again, can you guys just write what do you think might be the answer? Even if you haven't done it, just like guess. You can guess and write. There is no problem. If you want, I can open the question paper again and show you the questions. Everyone can write. Just write something. What you think might be the answer. Even if you have not done the mock. No issues. Okay. Anybody else? Have all of you all answered? या दिखा रही हूँ. ये वाला पैसेज दिखाओ. यहाँ से स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ. So tell me when you want me to scroll down, okay? If you want me to scroll down, tell me, okay? I'm I'm scrolling down. सबने पढ़ा है? स्क्रॉल करूं?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sometimes passages have some kind of key or clue to an answer. So if you feel like you don't know at all, then maybe you can skip that. But if you think like a passage is pointing towards the correct answer, then you should just like try it. Like because a lot of times passages cover such topics that somewhere or the other you will see keywords here and there. But what might not be there in passages is that the numbers, like you see 2%, 3%, 5%, etc. Last year CLAT question paper pe, they asked us on these percentages. And a big mistake that I did during my preparation for CLAT was I did not pay so much attention to the numbers. तो जब क्वेश्चन आया था तब बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग लगा था। तो आप जब कोई न्यूज आर्टिकल पढ़ रहे हो या एडिटोरियल्स पढ़ रहे हो, उस परसेंटेजेस, नंबर्स, डेटा में ज्यादा ध्यान दीजिए। एंड ओवरऑल टॉपिक को भी। आई एम स्क्रोलिंग डाउन अगेन। Now it's on the question again. So, like, I think there are 12 of you here. So, like, all of you just try what you think might be the answer, and then so I'm there to tell you the answer. I'm just copying it to the chat box. Most of you all are answering GK Pillai. So I will should I just show you the answer की अभी? इसका मत passage में आई थिंक उन लोग जो पैसेज था यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली नाम नहीं दिया होगा, बट एज जो मैंने बोला आपको पहले भी, पैसेज जो पैसेज आया है इससे रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन भी आ सकते हैं। तो यहाँ पे आई थिंक based on the recommendations of DAS committee. Indian government forms a lot of committees as हमें पता है for for recommendations basically. तो इस क्वेश्चन में फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री ने आप लोग जैसे गेस किए, तो आप लोग ने जैसे गेस किया तो आपको नाम पता रिमेम्बर आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा बेसिकली। At least like थोड़ा कीवर्ड की जस्ट मे बी जीके, एंड देन पिल्लई अगर आप लोग गेस कर ले तो भी चलेगा। बट कीवर्ड तो याद रखना पड़ेगा जीके में, तो मैं आंसर पे जा रही हूँ। GK Pillai headed the committee, had sought data and evidence from the industry that have suggested higher remissions rates than 2%, 3%, 5%, payable as a percentage of realized free on board values as incentives under MEIS. I'm going to the next question, Abhi. Has most of your answered GK Pillai? Okay. एक minute. I also look. अभी बोल रही हूँ. Just a minute. Um, MEIS का फुल फॉर्म है मर्चेंडाइज एक्सपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम इंडिया स्कीम। आप अगर इस ऐसे कीवर्ड्स में इश्यूज हो, आप इंटरनेट में भी चेक कर सकते हैं। अभी मैं नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे जा रही हूँ। और और कोई क्वेश्चन किसी को? आप अनम्यूट करके भी बोल सकते हैं, चैट बॉक्स पे भी लिख सकते हैं। The government has decided to export the benefits of the RODTEP to all export goods starting from which date? See, yes, correct. So अगर आपको कोई आर्टिकल चाहिए इस RODTEP स्कीम पर, मैं वो भी भेज सकती हूँ आप लोग को। मुझे मैं क्लासरूम में अपलोड कर दूंगी अगर आपको उससे ज्यादा जानना पड़े। बट आपको ओवरऑल इंफॉर्मेशन पता होने से ही चलेगा। आपको डिटेल्स एंड इन डेप्थ में स्कीम के बारे में जानना नहीं पड़ेगा, अनटिल एंड अनलेस वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो। बट ओवरऑल डिटेल्स आपको लाइक याद रखना पड़ेगा। एज यूजुअल कीवर्ड्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। सबने ए आंसर किया है, तो मैं आंसर पे जा रही हूँ। A is the answer. The government has decided to extend the benefits of the RODTEP scheme to all export goods starting from January 1, 2021. यहाँ पे number again the date of a scheme is very important. So news articles especially हिंदू पे आप जो भी dates किसी important scheme किसी important event का as usual static GK में dates बहुत important है। And sadly आपको ये मेमोराइज करना पड़ेगा इम्पोर्टेंट स्कीम्स के बारे में। बट सिंस फ्लैट हैज बीन पोस्टपोन्ड, आपको ज्यादा टाइम मिलेगा रिवाइज करने में। और वैसे ही लाइक होगा। Initially, the scheme was expected to be limited to around three sectors to start with due to limited resources. The rates under the scheme which are expected to be notified soon, will be applicable from January 1 to all eligible export goods. Just रीड आप लोग नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पढ़िए तब तक एंड किसी ने चैट बॉक्स पे एक आर्टिकल भी शेयर किया है मैं क्लासरूम में शेयर कर दूंगी उस आर्टिकल को The scheme was announced in 2020 as a replacement for DASH scheme, which is not compliant with the rules of WTO. What is the name of that scheme? So I will just copy this question. आप लोग 5 मिनट्स लीजिए बट ये आंसर कीजिए जो भी आपको करेक्ट लगे या गलत हो आप आंसर कीजिए फिर ट्राई कीजिए हाँ पार्टिसिपेट सबने ओके 4 लोगों ने 4 आंसर किया है आप लोग 12 पीपल हो और भी जो भी बाकी है वो भी लिखिए प्लीज चैट बॉक्स पे जो भी आपको आंसर लगे have all of you all solved the mock okay answers then try the rest only I see answers from Saurav, Gauri, Sanjana, Ayush, Nalanda Academy, DIG, Malda, West Bengal Police. Okay. Vaibhav, okay. So I'm going to show the answer. The scheme was announced in 2020 as a replacement for the merchandise exports for India scheme, which was not compliant with the rules of WTO following a complaint by the USA. A dispute settlement panel had ruled against India's use of, as it was written in the chat box, that MEIS scheme was a replacement of, was replaced by this new scheme called RODTEP. As it has been found, the duty credit scripts awarded under the scheme to be inconsistent with WTO norms, the RODTEP scheme would refund to exporters the embedded central, state, and local duties or taxes that were so far not being rebated or refunded and were therefore placing India's export at a disadvantage. Okay, so let me check the chat box then. I'm going to the next question. What have you guys answered for this? Question number 80. What was the reason for the extension of this scheme? Answer in the chat box whatever you guys have answered. Please, everyone try. Then we'll go to the next paragraph. One thinks B, the other thinks A. Anyone else? Do you want me to show the passage again? Okay. three Bs, one A. Okay, one C. Hmm. Any more answers? Hmm. Okay, most of you all are going with A. One has answered C, the other has answered B. So we'll just check what's the answer of it. Reason for extension, the answer is A. It will boost the export of the country. So far, refunds were not taking place, adversely impacting exports. India's exports fell 8.74% in November, steeper than 5.2% dip in October. As here again, the numbers are important. If the question is changed and they ask you something else, the question paper can be set in a manner where they ask you the percentage the export fell, and at that point you will have to answer these percentages. So these are important as well when you're solving these mocks and these passages. Anyone's having any problem? If you all do, you can unmute yourself. I'll go to the next passage. Um, I'm staying here for like I will read the passage, and if you want me to stay in this passage for 5 more minutes, I will, and you guys can read it as well. The global prevalence of NAFLD is about 25%. Population-based studies on NAFLD prevalence in India are scarce. The Trivandrum NAFLD cohort of 2,158 individuals above 25 years from both urban and rural areas in the district represent the full spectrum of the demography of a large Indian state, says Katie Shenoy, former professor of gastroenterology, Government Medical College, Thiruvananthapuram, one of the investigators of the study. Apart from clinical data, blood samples were collected from the cohort for assessment of liver function, platelet count, fasting glucose, insulin, and lipids. The participants also underwent abdomen ultrasound scans to assess the presence and grade of fatty infiltration in the liver. What is interesting is that obesity turned out to be more of a risk factor for NAFLD than diabetes within the cohort. But even at a lower BMI, a significant number of individuals had fatty liver. Accumulation of visceral fat, fat around internal organs inside the abdominal cavity seems to be high among Keralites, says Dr. Shenoy. This article is from the Hindu from 15 September 2019. Can anyone tell me what is the full form of NAFLD? Then I'll go to the questions. Does anyone know what's the full form of NAFLD? You don't have to Google it. If you all can guess, that's fine. And otherwise, I'll just go to the questions. You all can write in the chat box. Okay, right. I just search for it. NAFLD. Okay, everyone's answering D. I think they were talking about a disease, Ayush, but like I'll check, maybe I'm wrong. Which of the following ministries launched the operational guidelines for integration of NAFID? So everyone's answering D. I will check. Yes, the Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare. So here, another question can come is who is the Union Minister of Health? I think you all know it's Dr. Harshvardhan, who has launched the operational guidelines to integrate non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that is NAFLD, with National Program for Prevention and Control of Cancer, Diabetes, Cardiovascular Diseases, and Stroke, NPCDS. Here, they can ask you the full forms of these diseases and even these schemes, or when did the scheme for the scheme you can see NPCD DCS start. So a lot of questions can be made, which you have to keep in mind once you're reading the passages. Mm. I'll go to the question again. The next question. NAFLD is being launched with the National Program for Prevention and Control of. The answer was given in the text in itself. Okay, that is that, but I have not seen that usually happen in the question papers. Directly answer given, very rare, but this is nice. Okay, everyone's answering B. So everyone knows this one, I'm guessing. I'll go to the next question. The disease is a serious health concern encompassing a spectrum of abnormalities in which part of the question. Here again, the answer can be inferred from the passage in itself. So the answer is D, liver, because it's a fatty liver disease. Yes, correct. I check still. Yes, correct. Okay. Yep. Which of the following is true about NAFLD? Okay, Obishita and Vaibhav have answered C. Milind also C. Okay, the others also, two more people C. C. Okay, we'll see if it's C. Okay. Hmm. Let's see. Studies highlight that people with NAFLD have a higher chance of developing cardiovascular diseases. It's an abdominal condition where fat accumulates in the liver in the absence of secondary causes of fatty liver, including viral hepatitis, alcohol use, or medications. So we go to the next question. This one I'll just show from here. Hmm. Can you guys see, or do I have to zoom a little bit more? What are the steps taken by the government on this? I'll see. I'll just leave it here. But D is all of the above, basically. Hmm. Aligning NPC. Everyone's answering D. Some have answered B. Okay. Anyone else? So I'll just see. Yep. The answer is D. I'm just saving the reasoning for the answer in the chat box. Makes it easier. Okay. A is not like the some of you have answered A, but the ones who have answered most of you have answered D, but Anurag has answered A. Why did you think A is the answer, Anurag? Like what what made you think that A would be the answer? You can type also. No issues. Okay. You'll have to keep that scheme in mind. It came about last year. So and you guys have read the passage, but still, symbols function as ciphers. The message need not be heartening always. Symbolism of 8 countries, India was amongst them, sending their representatives to attend Myanmar's Armed Force Day, a day in which hundreds of civilians protesting against the Tatmadaw coup fell to military violence this year will not be lost. The world, at least for now, seems content to look the other way as Myanmar's military unleashes a brutal crackdown on civilian movement, demanding the restoration of democracy. Global fraternity has, of course, made the usual benign noises. The chief of UN has condemned bloodshed as the president of US and the European Union, but to little effect after the carnage of Saturday, Armed Force Day, that strong, the death toll climbed over 100. The military is reported to have fired upon mourners the following day. I guess you all have heard about the coup, and that in itself is probably a topic which can cover so many questions in general knowledge. And we'll go to this question. I think this is an easy guess. 86. What is the main religion of Burma? Burma was the earlier name of Myanmar. So I think all of you know the answer of this. I'll just zoom it a bit. Yes, it's Buddhism. Correct. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Yes, this is the next question. The Myanmar military has grabbed power how many times in the past? One of the ways of covering Myanmar as a topic would be to open Wikipedia because that covers most of the information about it, and it's an easy way to remember things rather than going through countless articles on about the coup. You can just open basic Wikipedia and check. the details and just mark the points in a copy what you think might be important, like the number of times a coup has happened. All of you all know what's a coup, right? If you all don't, you can type in the chat box. I can write the definition here as well. But a coup is basically when the military overthrows an elected government, which uh, which was led by Aung San Suu Kyi in Myanmar. So three of y'all have answered B. Some have answered D. D. This was the previous question. One has Anurag has answered D. Rest, what do you all think might be the answer? Can guess also, no issues. Just type. Okay, the rest of I just show it then. The answer is B. This is the third time in the nation's history since it got independence from Britain in 1948. A 1 year state of emergency has been imposed, and as we talked about Aung San Suu Kyi being the democratically elected leader who also won a Nobel Prize but was in the news last year because of the Rohingya issue. So this is how you will have to connect topics. When we talk about Aung San Suu Kyi, we just don't think about the coup, but we also think about what is happening with the Rohingyas and the issue of her being stripped away of a Nobel Prize, the whole debate on it, though that did not happen. The next question. This is simple too. It's okay, Anurag, just try. No issues if you have not done the mock. But like try doing the mocks from this week. It will help. Even if you guys have not done the mock, just guess. It's an informal setting. There is no punishment, nothing. No one will say anything. Just like try. Okay. Some of you all are saying B. Most of you all are saying B. One has said A. Okay. Two has said A. Which are the following Asian countries other than which are the following Asian countries other than Myanmar? Okay. The answer of this would be Laos because Hong Kong is not a part of it, nor is Bhutan. Bhutan falls under SARC, and we just search ASEAN. It has 10 members, the names of which we'll just check. So here we can form another question. The questions about ASEAN. Can anyone guess where is ASEAN's capital? Or I think the anyone, can someone write in the chat box if you all know the capital of ASEAN? Like where is it situated? Where is its headquarters? Like UN's headquarters is in New York, but where is ASEAN's headquarters? I'm just checking randomly. Yes, correct. It's Jakarta in Indonesia. Correct. So we will go to the next question. Oh, I forgot to copy D. India supported democratic transition in Myanmar. Which one of the following is true regarding India's interest in Myanmar? It has to maintain cordial relations with Myanmar. It is not committed to ensuring safe, sustainable, speedy return of Rohingya refugees from refugee camps of India and Bangladesh. The two countries signed the Land Border Crossing Agreement in 2018. Two countries are also expanding partnership in areas of energy cooperation, or D, which is both B and C. What do you guys think might be the answer? Just write in the chat box. Anybody can guess and write. I'll give 5 minutes. Think and write, please. Okay, you guys think it's B and C. Rest of you, like, can try Obhishipta, Kabir, Gauri, anybody. Okay, most of you all are saying D. Let's see. Uh, it is D. India has most of the Rohingya refugees in India are present in Delhi. I think that is known, and most of them are not considered refugees. They are considered as illegal migrants. So we go to the next question. India is assisting in infrastructure projects as India-Myanmar Dash Trilateral Highway Project, which is a third country in this. Here, as you guys were telling me that you guys, some of you all are having issues in remembering and memorizing. Here, I feel it won't be China, but I feel it will be Thailand. I'm myself not sure of the answer, but I'm guessing it is Thailand because, like, given the situation with China, I don't think India will be having a highway with it. Yeah, I think so too. From like checking the answer, it's C. The name of it is India, Myanmar, and Thailand. So we'll, though it's like about time, but we'll try to finish this as well. Can you guys read it? Can then I'll scroll down. We'll just finish this passage. Kanha will be Sundari's third home habitat in 3 years, as she was in Bandhavgarh when she was brought to Satkosia. After staying in Satkosia for 3 years, it was shifted to Kanha. The return of tigress Sundari, recently lodged in an enclosure in Satkosia Tiger Reserve, to one has put full stop on state's ambitious tiger translocation project, thus exposing the forest department's sheer lack of calculation and poor preparedness. With Sundari shifting from Satkosia to Ghorela Center at Kanha, where it will be rewild, the ambitious first interstate translocation project has come to an end. Satkosia was to get 3 pairs of Royal Bengal tigers from different sanctuaries of MP in phases. In the first phase, it had received a male and a female RBT. The male MB2 has allegedly been killed by poachers by planting snare. Sundari reportedly developed man-eating tendencies, forcing the Odisha government to return it. In December 2019, the NTCA had written to the Odisha Chief Secretary Asit Tripathi to return back the tigress immediately. saying it cannot be allowed to be kept in a small enclosure for any longer. In the interest of tiger conservation, it shall be withdrawn with immediate effect. The tiger translocation project at Satkoshia shall remain suspended till the ground situation in the field improves as per NTCA protocol. NTCA latter had said. Sundari will be kept at Ghorela and Rewild Center. She will be kept under observation to see whether wild behavior returns to her. Then she will be able to take a decision on her further release to the wild, said Kanha Field Director S.K. Singh. In which of the state is Kanha National Park Tiger Reserve located? Can you guys see the question? The answer was given in the passage. If you guys want me to show you the passage again, I can. Okay. Most of you have answered C, which is the correct answer. Kanha is in Madhya Pradesh. So we go to the next question. Which of the following are states are true? Which of the following states are true about Kanha National Park? It is the largest national park in central India. It was the first tiger reserve to introduce a mascot. Both of the above, none of the above. Just write what you think might be the answer. Okay. Most of you have using C. We'll check. Yes. Kanha National Park is the largest national park in central India. It is the first tiger reserve to have introduced a mascot known as Bhusing the Barasingha. Okay. Which is the state animal found exclusively in Kanha National Park? So, which is the state animal of Madhya Pradesh, which is found exclusively in the Kanha National Park? Four of you guys have written. Okay. 2 more minutes if anyone else answers. Okay. We check again. The state animal of Madhya Pradesh is the swamp deer, or hard ground barasingha, or what are the other tiger? What other tiger reserves are found in Madhya Pradesh? Hmm. Everyone's answering Bhadavgarh, Bandhavgarh. Okay, we'll check. Yes. Bandhavgarh in MP, Manas in Assam, Corbett in Uttarakhand, and Bandipur in Karnataka. Answer is A. Yes, correct. What are the names of the zones a tiger reserve is divided into? Just copy it here. Okay, this is a mixed answer. Hmm. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you have answered B, we'll see. We just check. Core and buffer. Yes. For the purpose of management, tiger reserves are constituted of a core and buffer zone. In core areas, forestry operation, collection of minor forest produce, grazing, human settlement, and other biotic substances are not allowed and are singularly oriented towards conservation. Three-fourths of the buffer zone is managed as multiple use area with conservation oriented land use having the twin objective of providing habitat supplement to the spillover population of wild animals from the core, apart from facilitating site specific eco development inputs to stakeholding communities. This is the last passage that we'll discuss today, and then we will be done with the GK for today. Like just maybe 10 more minutes if you guys have no issues. Is that fine with you? If the last question, I'll discuss it, and then we will just wind up the class. We'll read the passage. 5 Arctic littoral states: Canada, Denmark, Greenland, Norway, Russia, and the US, that is Alaska, and 3 other Arctic nations, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland, form the Arctic Council. The Arctic is home to almost 4 million inhabitants, of which approximately one-third are considered as indigenous people. However, climate change has meant that seasons in Arctic influence tropical weather. The Arctic influences atmospheric, oceanographic, biogeochemical cycles of the ecosystem of Earth ecosystem. I'm just scrolling down. If someone will say yes, I'll scroll down. Just like unmute yourself when you want me to scroll down. Should I scroll down? Someone
Yes,
please.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. The loss of ice, sea ice caps, and warming of the ocean and atmosphere would lower the salinity in the oceans, increase temperature differentials between land and oceans in the tropical regions, dry subtropical regions, and increase precipitations at higher latitudes. Arctic research will help India's scientific community to study melting rates of the third pole, the Himachal glaciers, which are endowed with the largest freshwater reserves in the world outside the geographic poles. The document notes. So I'm scrolling to the first question. In 2 minutes, I'll scroll to the first question. You guys just read this part. So I'm going to the first question. I just copy it. India has designated the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research to lead scientific research and policy on the policy. This is based in which state? Okay, one has answered Kerala, the other has answered Goa, two have answered Goa, one has answered Delhi, one is answering Karnataka. Okay, 2 more minutes for others to answer. Then we go to the answer key. Okay, the answer is D. India has designated Goa-based National Center for Polar and Ocean Research to lead scientific research and act as a nodal body to coordinate among various scientific bodies to promote domestic scientific research capacities in the Arctic. So we go to the next question. This is the spectacular dash are visible in the Arctic parts of Norway from October through March, while the sun, moon, and stars are visible from everywhere in natural parts of our daily life. The dash can only be seen in certain areas, varying in color and intensity as we know them. As opposed to the moon, suns, and stars, they are unpredictable and unique. What are these lights known as? I think this can be guessed. What do you guys think will be the answer? What is the name of the lights which can be seen up in the Arctic in the northern region? Some have answered both um, A and C. Okay, we just check. It is D. Now we check the next question. What are the indigenous people in the Arctic known as? Arcticians, Eskimos, Icelanders, Inuits. I myself think it might be D. I'm not sure. But what do you guys think will be the answer? What are the indigenous people of Arctic known as? Okay, we're checking. The Arctic indigenous people include, for example, Sami in circumpolar areas of Finland, Sweden, Norway, northwestern Russia, Nenets, Khanty, Evenks, and Chukchi in Russia, Aleut, Yupik, and Inuit in Alaska and Canada and Greenland. So here the answer would be D and not B. This one. Then we go to the next question. Which of the following are not the objectives of the policy? So here the question is, what is not the objective of the given policy? What do you guys think will be the answer? I'll just copy it and I will, so that you guys can answer. Rest of y'all can answer too. I'll show the answer in a minute. Okay. Some have answered C and some have answered D, and one has answered B. I I think it might be C. I'm not sure. We just see. Okay, I'm wrong. The answer is B. That is to promote scientific. In conflict over the Arctic, which country is the dominant power with the longest Arctic coastline, half the Arctic population, and full-fledged strategic policy? I think you guys have heard in the news that Russia has been planning a lot of Arctic exploration. And as we know, that Russia also shares the biggest Arctic coastline in the world. And with ice caps melting, Russian military has been seen doing a lot of exploration, especially to check Arctic's natural resources, which is not particularly supported by other nations, as the Arctic region is very important for the Earth's ecosystem. So here the answer is Russia. This is this has this the other passage. Dash chairman of the Dash Finance Commission on Monday flagged the absence of the fiscal institutions and a lack of flexibility for states to deviate from fiscal consolidation roadmap in times of emergency. There is a lack of fiscal institutions in India. It can be your fiscal council or by any other institution. While the country has some kind of a fiscal architecture, it does not have independent fiscal institutions, said Singh during a webinar of India India's overall fiscal architecture organized by the Center for Social and Economic Progress. Then there is this asymmetric power between center and state over fiscal flexibility. Fiscal means money, as you guys already know. So here, Dash is the chairman of the Finance Commission. I- This is something that I want you guys to guess even before we go into this. Any ideas of who might be the chairman of the Finance Commission of India? If you guys have read this portion, I'm just scrolling down then. As far as center is concerned, it is often accounts for very good reasons for exigencies or circumstances, even take recourse to escape clauses and trigger escape clauses. No such similar agreements or devices is available to the states. Who is the What is the number of this year's Finance Commission and who is the chairman? Gautam, what do you mean by 16 number? Oh, you mean C. Okay. Should we'll just see what is the answer. It is the 15th Finance Commission and the head of it is N.K. Singh. And he has been appointed by the president. These are some things you have to keep in mind. Who are like there are different commissions and the different commissions names and who appoints them. I will try to upload a list of these things in the classroom by today or tomorrow. Okay. Milind, can you unmute yourself? Like, can you mute yourself? Or do you want to say something? By how much percentage did the spending by states increase by 2022? What do you think will be the answer? Okay. The others? Any idea? Any guess? Any guesswork? Okay. Some have answered D. Some have answered C. Anyone else? Okay. I go to the next answer. The answer is D. Health spending by states should be increased to more than 8% of the budget by 2022. The Commission recommended that the center brings down its fiscal deficit to 4% of GDP by dash against 6.8% in the financial year 2022. You have answered A. Rest can guess even if you all don't know the answer. Just guess and think what you guys might be the answer. It might be incorrect, but it's okay. Okay. All are answering A. We will see. The answer is C. Here, this is what I talked about, like how numbers might be important for the general knowledge portion. Because they expect us to remember what might be the percentage of growth, which date it might be. All these play a very important factor in the general knowledge portion of the paper, which the only way about going around this is not like mugging it up sadly. That's the sad part. So we see the next question. Wait, last was 103. I think I just a minute. Yeah, sorry, I again copied the wrong question. Yeah, answer 104. Because of dash article of the Constitution, state governments operate under borrowing limits and hence budget constraints approved by the union government. Your constitution plays an important role. What do you think might be the answer? Two of you all think it's B, the other thinks it's A. Others can guess as like I just want you all to like write and like participate. Okay. Anybody else? What might be the answer? Hmm. One more thinks it's D. Okay. So I'm checking the answer key. It's Article 293 of the Constitution, under which state governments work under borrowing limits and hence budget constraints which are approved by the union government. India being in India, like the union government is more powerful than the state governments, as it is known, though is India is a quasi-federal state. That means it's not technically federal, but not completely unitary either. Article 293 of the Constitution is the correct answer. 93. So whoever answered B was correct. This is the last question from this passage. Which of the following recommendations by the Finance Committee is false? Allocating funds for the overhauling of medical services at only one level, and to train allied health service healthcare workers, fund for national disaster response, both A and B. None of the above. What do you guys think might be the answer? If you all find any word difficult or not understand any portion, like just mention it in the chat box. You all can write an email to me as well if there is any issues with any topic that you guys cannot understand, or message me on WhatsApp. You can save this. So I will go to the last passage, though I'm dragging the time, but I want to finish this mock test with you guys today. There are two more passages. That's it. So let's just do it and finish this so that in the next class we can do something else. If you all want me to zoom it more, just tell me. Can you all read it? Any issues in reading it? Scientists found the first geographical sources. Okay. Scientists found the first geographical surface rupture signatures in the form of exposed deposits associated with rivers and streams, deformed by a thrust fault along a northeast dipping fault zone. In order to constrain the causative faulting event at the site, the Wardia Institution team dated 21 radiocarbon samples from the trench exposure. They also found three large tree trunks embedded in the youngest flood deposits at the exit of the Subansiri River, Sadia town, located roughly 145 kilometers southeast of Subansiri River, suggesting the post-seismic aggradation of the river. Following an array of aftershocks till 6 months in abortive fashion, this work had been recently published in the journal Nature.com under the scientific reports category. Sadia town is located 145 kilometers south of Subansiri River. The study of earthquake at Sadia, standing on a grassy plain surrounded by forested eastern Himalayas on the right bank of Lohit River, adds an important site to the seismic hazard assessment of the eastern Himalayas. The region is inhabited with inhabitants will benefit from the findings that are expected to help in better infrastructure planning across the eastern Himalayan foothills, which is one of the most densely populated regions in the world. The state in the northeastern region, along with nearby regions like Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, are prone to earthquakes. If you all want me to scroll, just like inform me. Should I scroll?
Yes, ma'am.
Recently, scientists have found the first geographical evidence of an earthquake on the border of which two states, documented as the Sadia earthquake in history. What do you think might be the answer? I'll wait for a minute more for others to answer, and then I will go to the answer key. The answer is C. So here the keyword might be the border of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. If you can't remember the whole answer, then the only thing that you might have to emphasize on in the question when the question comes is the Sadia earthquake region can be between the state of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, which is located in eastern Himalaya. We go to the next question. Scientists from the VIHG carried out mega trench excavations at the Himibasti village, where the most recent event records the imprint of 1697 Sardia earthquake and analyzed it with a modern geological techniques. Which state is it based in? Here, if if I had to answer this question, there would be a lot of words I would not understand. Though it like here I might not understand what is the meaning of a trench excavation. So the thing you can do here is whatever word you can't uh, understand, the only solution right now is to like Google it and write a basic if it's important, you can you write the meaning of it in a place. That way it might help. But if you think it's not that necessary, it might be something very technical, then you can skip it. Okay, C's and A's. Anybody else? Only five have answered. Okay, we'll just go. Here again, a word that can be used as a keyword would be the Himibasi village in Arunachal Pradesh. A question can also come, when was the previous earthquake seen? So here you have to remember 1697, which is also an important keyword. Over here, the least you have to remember is Himibasti village. Where is it located? AP or Arunachal Pradesh. That you can connect with eastern Himalayas, and also the fact of Arunachal Pradesh bordering Assam, where this Sadia earthquake happens. These ways you have to connect the topics. So we go to question number 8, 108. A term is used in geology to increase land elevation due to deposits of sediments. What is it called? What term is used for earthquakes that follows the largest shock of and earthquake sequence? One is B and one is D. Okay, one is answered A. So see over here, it's in the second part of the question, it is written what term is used for earthquake that follows the largest shock of an earthquake sequence. So after the first shock happens, here the word after, right? So that becomes a keyword. What follows? They've asked. So here the answer would be in the second part of the question, the answer would be aftershocks. So this is the part I could guess before. That helps me bring down the options of, there are four options, right? So if I could figure out the second part of the question, it comes down to two. Two. There is one is B and one is D. So out of B and D, the first part I'm not really sure of. So we will check a term used in geology for land elevation due to sediment deposits. Aggradation or elevation. If I go with aggradation or elevation, if I go with a basic English idea of what is meant by an increase in land elevation, so I would guess it's elevation. But I might not be correct and B might not be the answer. So we will check if it's D. It's D. So this is one of the ways you can bring down the number of options that you have in your question paper. If you can guess even one part that you think might be the answer, if you can guess that part, that might help you bring down the total number of options, so that the other answer, even if you don't know, you can guess, and that might help you at least get like a few marks in that question. So we go to the next question. This question is testing our geography. So, which of the following shows the significance of mapping seismic activities? Seismic activities are related to earthquakes or what is happening in the Earth's, what is that word called? Rifts, I guess. I'm not sure. Um, so, what might be the answer? This may help in mapping the earthquakes and enable syncing the development activities accordingly. Okay, C, we'll check. Yep, it's C. Studying the past earthquakes helps us determine the potential of the regions, helps in mapping the hazards, and enables synthetic syncing the development activities accordingly. How many seismic zones are there in the India, and which official agency publishes the seismic hazard maps and codes? Just guess the answer. What do you think it might be? Okay, it's C. There are four seismic zones, and wait, there are five seismic zones. There were four, but which have India is one of the highly earthquake affected countries because of the presence of tectonically active young fold mountains, Himalayas. India has been divided into four seismic zones, 2, 3, 4, and 5, based on the scientific inputs related to seismicity. Earthquakes occurred in the past in tectonic setbacks of the region. Previously, earthquake zones were divided into five with respect to the severity of the earthquakes, but the Bureau of Indian Standards grouped the country into four seismic zones by unifying the two zones. BIS is the official agency for publishing seismic hazard maps. So here you can remember the answer instead of like such a big paragraph passage. Just remember BIS is Bureau of Indian Standards. Earlier there used to be five, which has been combined, and as a result, there are four seismic zones now. Two, three, four, five. There used to be five, but now there are four. And BIS is the nodal agency. This is the last passage, no more for today. We'll just read this and then I'll just discuss one, two, three, four, five. No, one, two, three, four. Four questions more, and we're done. A day ago, the Union Cabinet approved a proposal by the MHA to dissolve the assembly and impose president's rule in the Union Territory. The notification said President Ramnath Kovind had received a report from the administration of the UT on 22. After considering the report and information, the president was satisfied that the situation has arisen in which the administration of UT of Puducherry cannot be carried out in accordance with the provisions of the Government of Union Territories Act 1963, Section 20 of the Act, basically. The notification issued by the Union Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla said that the Legislative Assembly of the said Union Territory is hereby placed under suspended animation. The UT had the UTs are administered in accordance with the provisions of Article 239 to 241 of the Constitution and according to the Allocation of Business Rules 1961. Certain subjects pertaining to the Union Territory, like legislative, financial, and budget and services, have been allocated to the Ministry of Home Affairs. The notification said in relation to the Union Territory, unless the content otherwise requires any reference in Section 23, that is the special provisions as to financial bill. 27 to 31 is annual statements, procedure, and legislative assembly with respect to estimates, appropriation bills, additions or excess grants, vote on account, and Section 49 talks about audit reports of the Act to the administrator shall be construed as a reference to the President. Any reference in these sections and in Section 48, that is the contingency fund of the UT, to the Legislative Assembly of a Union Territory by whatever form of words shall, in so far as it relates to functions and powers thereof, be construed as a reference to the Parliament. In addition, so it said, in relation to the said Union Territory, the reference of Legislative Assembly of the Union Territory in Section 26 requirements as to the sanction and recommendations to be regarded as matter of procedure shall only be construed as included as a reference to Parliament. The decision comes again after the Congress-led government lost power in a vote of confidence. I'm not sure if so many sections are important for you to remember, but as we know that Pondicherry lost its government led by the Congress, and recently it also the Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry, which is Kiran Bedi. I think you have heard of her, was removed as well. So we will see. There is a question that can come, which talks about which part of the Indian Constitution talks about the administration of union territories. Gautam thinks it's part D. Anyone else? Okay. See. Okay. It's D. Part 2 talks about citizenship. Part 5 talks about the union. Part 4 talks about the state. And Part 8 talks about the union territories. The parts of the Constitution and Constitution's basic articles, not the details of all, but fundamental rights and the divisions are quite important for general knowledge. Though a direct question might not come on it, but you have to remember what are the parts and thing. I might send a chart. I will find one and I'll upload all this. So which statement do you think is true about the Union territories? Anurag, I think A and B are quite similar. I think so. So I think I will go with all of the above. We'll just see. The answer is D. So Article 239 to 242 under Part A talks about the administration of union territories. Most probably 239 to 242 you don't have to remember, but Part 8 is important. Every union territory is administered by the president through an administrator who is appointed by him. So the president appoints an agent basically who who acts who who administers the territory, and this person is not the head of the state. Like West Bengal might have a head of a state, Goa might have a head of a state, but Daman and Diu or Puducherry has someone who's an agent of the president because the president rules the union territories. The president can specify the designation of an administrator. There's a lieutenant governor in the case of Delhi, or a chief commissioner, or an administrator, like in the case of Jammu and Kashmir. So we go to the next question. This is the second last question. It's a pretty simple one. I think you guys might know the answer of this. This one, I think more people will attempt. There are three lists, as we know, in the Indian Constitution. One is the Union list, which the Union government has powers over. You have the state list, which the state government has powers over to administer. And then you have a concurrent list, which both union and state administer. But as we know that the union government can't take any subject and bring it to the union list. So on which of the following list can the parliament make laws for the territories, for the union territories? Okay. And one thing B, which is C. It's C. The parliament can make laws on any subjects of the three lists for the union territories, because here the rationale is, since the union territories are administered by the center, with the president acting as a person who spearheads the center, and the president cannot legislate himself, right? So the parliament legislates on every subject matter of the union territory because it's a centrally administered territory. But there are differences though. If you look at Delhi, for example, uh, the Delhi government has certain powers which are exclusive to the Delhi government, but the union has overriding powers. As recently you have heard that a new bill was passed where Delhi government's powers were taken over by the lieutenant governor or the agent of the central government. So here the answer will be both A and wait, C, which is both state and union list. This is the last question for today. Which of the following statements is true regarding President's rule? So, so Article 356 declares President's rule. Under Article 356 of the Constitution, President's rule is declared. A proclamation imposing President's rule must be approved by both houses of the Parliament within 3 months from the date of its issue. Both A and B, C, or D initially valid for 5 months. The President's rule can be extended for up to a maximum period of 3 years with the approval of the Parliament every 6 months. Here, I think the answer would be C, because I don't think it's valid for 5 months. But we'll see. You'll answer the way you guys think it what might be the right answer. Don't worry about what I think. You guys just think whatever it might be. Okay, you just speak. Yeah, it was wrong. It's just A. President's rule is imposed by imposing Article 356. If President's rule is imposed upon the recipient of the report of the governor of the state or otherwise is satisfied that the situation has arisen in which the government of a state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. A proclamation imposing President's rule must be approved by both houses of the Parliament within 2 months. It's not 5 months or 6 months, it is 2 months from the date of its issue. The approval must take place through a simple majority, that is, a majority of the members of the House must be present to vote. Initially valid for 6 months, the President's rule can be extended for the maximum of 3 years with the approval of the Parliament every 6 months. The answer is A. Do you guys have any questions on GK? Any other thing that you guys have questions for? You all can unmute and ask or type also. I'll be here for like 5 to 6 more minutes if you guys have any more questions, because I have discussed this mock for the next class. That is on Thursday. I'm not sure who will be taking that class, but if I do, just read the Hindu from Sunday, that is today, till Thursday. Because the class is in the evening, I guess. So you guys can read the Hindu from Sunday till Thursday. Read the whole paper. If you guys do not have, I think the PDF is sent every day in the group. Do we have another question? Let me check. There are just 114 questions though. Is your mock paper showing another question, Anurag? No, no, no issues. If it does, then you can tell me. But your GK is like 76 to 114. So like read the Hindu, and I will ask Neeraj about another mock question paper which should be released again this week. The only tips I can give you about general knowledge is writing down the important words which might help you remember during the exam, because it's impossible for any person to mug up all the facts. Plus, it gets boring as well to remember each and every fact in detail. But what you can do is every day when you're reading the Hindu, write down the important keywords from the news. And that way you will see once you're reading the newspaper every day, there are certain news which keep repeating themselves with more additional information. So if you remember those, once you're giving your mocks, that time you will be more clear on your topic for GK. And that way you won't have the pressure of mugging things up, because static GK is not coming this year. From last year, they expect you to know the news properly. And I feel reading the Hindu and maybe following this website, if Hindu doesn't, Hindu editorials are very, very important. But if that plus Jagran Josh, which keeps updating materials daily and also weekly, monthly, topic wise. Reading that might help, but for the next class, just read the Hindu, and there might be another mock. Solve the more mocks you solve with the least number of time spent to solve mocks, the better your scores will be. And general knowledge as a subject area is either you know the GK or you don't. There certain times it has been that way, because sometimes guessing means you lose a lot of marks. So you will so being strong in general knowledge will help you increase your overall scores for CLAT. I will be uploading whatever materials I can find in the classroom. But for the next class, just read the Hindu, please. Like, just give maybe 1 hour at night, and you will be done reading the paper. And just write down what you think might be important, and the mock. So I will be logging out. Um, I have given my name, my number, and my email. If there is any other issues, you can write on the WhatsApp chat group. I will be there. And yeah, all the best. See you next Thursday. Thank you.